Welcome back, listeners. Today we're diving deep into the world of best-selling author Brian Weimer.
You know, he's one of those authors who can really transport you with his writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get lost in those intricate plots.
You really do.
And his characters just feel so real.
Oh, so real. It's like you could reach out and touch them.
Right. And it's interesting because he writes across so many different genres.
He does. It's amazing. He kind of reminds me, actually, of authors like Ray Bradbury.
Oh, yeah. Definitely some Bradbury influence there.
And even a little bit of Stephen King.
Oh, for sure. You can see that that King-like suspense, but, you know, with Weimer's own unique twist.
Right, exactly. So to kind of understand what we're talking about here, let's unpack some of his works. For those of you who haven't read Brian Weimer before, a good place to start might be Advent.
Oh, Advent. That's a great one to start with. It just throws you right into the deep end.
It does, yeah.
Ancient mysteries, you know, really powerful forces.
Forces that have shaped humanity, potentially.
Yeah, exactly. It makes you think about, you know, what if our understanding of history is completely wrong?
Like, what if we're just scratching the surface?
Right. Imagine, like, finding these ancient relics that just completely rewrite what we know about early man.
Wow. So in Advent, we've got this retired paranormal investigator. Right?
Yes. He gets brought in because of his expertise.
Right, but he quickly realizes
He's in over his head.
Yeah.
He's dealing with something way more sinister
than he ever imagined.
And there's this, like, shadowy alliance working behind the scenes.
Okay, now you're talking like a real conspiracy.
Oh, totally. And they've got their own agenda.
Guided by these mysterious dark forces. It almost sounds like Indiana Jones, but with a darker, more supernatural twist.
Exactly. And that's what makes Advent so compelling. It makes you question, like, what if there are truths out there that are better left buried?
Right. That's a great point.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you wonder how we would react if we stumbled upon something that challenged our entire understanding of the world.
Yeah.
So we've got ancient mysteries with Advent. Now let's shift gears
Okay.
to the gritty urban landscape of New Phoenix with Watchers.
Oh, Watchers. This one's a real page turner. Full of action.
I bet. It's about Mitch Preston, right? Architect.
Yes. And he witnesses his best friend's murder.
Oh, wow.
And that kind of sets him on this path to uncover this deadly conspiracy.
So it's got that classic good versus evil element. But, I mean, knowing Weimer, I bet he adds, like, layers of complexity to it.
He does. It's not so straightforward. The lines between right and wrong get blurry.
Yeah.
Mitch gets caught up in all this corruption.
And deceit.
Yeah. And he ends up teaming up with an investigative journalist and this, like, covert group. They're fighting to expose the truth.
But they're up against a powerful organization, right?
Oh, yeah. Very powerful. Like, think mafia style.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's not just about solving a murder.
No, it's way bigger than that. It's about taking on this whole corrupt system.
It makes you think, what would you do in that situation? Would you risk everything to fight for what's right?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is. So we've seen Weimer tackle these ancient mysteries with Advent and now urban conspiracies with Watchers.
And it doesn't stop there.
He doesn't stop there, no. He's got this collection of short stories, Echoes from the Inner World.
Oh, I love that one. It's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it spans multiple genres, right?
Yes. Sci-fi, fantasy, horror.
He explores this idea of man versus his environment, the unknown, even our own inner demons.
It's a wild ride through, like, the darkest parts of the human psyche.
It makes you think, what scares you the most? Isolation, the unknown. What is it?
Exactly.
All right. So moving on, Weimer also seems to have a thing for conspiracy thrillers.
He does.
And I know a lot of our listeners love a good conspiracy theory. Let's talk about the VERTICON file.
Oh, the VERTICON file. This one's a mind bender.
I've heard that. So it's about a journalist, Rick Donovan.
Right. And he stumbles upon this chilling prediction.
Okay.
And then it comes true.
Oh, wow. That's scary.
And that sends him down this rabbit hole of conspiracy theories.
So it's not just about uncovering the truth behind this one event.
No, it's much bigger.
It's like a whole web of interconnected events.
Exactly. He starts to realize that everything he thought he knew might be a lie.
Whoa.
It's about peeling back the layers to expose, like, the biggest cover-up in history.
Okay, that sounds pretty intense. Now, there's a follow-up to this, right? The VERTICON code.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it picks up where the VERTICON file left off. But this time, we follow a private investigator, Mark Grissom.
So the stakes are still high, but we're seeing it from a new perspective.
Exactly. And Grissom, he's a totally different character from Donovan.
How so?
Well, he's more world-weary, more cynical. but he's still driven by this need to find the truth,
No matter the cost.
no matter the cost.
Okay, so we've got ancient mysteries, urban conspiracies, grand, world-spanning conspiracies. It's amazing how Weimer blends all these different elements.
He really does. And he doesn't just stick to one type of thriller either. The Citadel, for example, is a great example of his genre bending.
Right, The Citadel. I was meaning to ask you about this one.
It's a faith-based supernatural thriller.
Okay, no, that's an interesting combination.
Right. It takes inspiration from H.P. Lovecraft
Oh, wow.
and Stephen King.
So we're talking like cosmic horror here.
Oh, yeah. But with this added layer of faith, it's about this guy, Sean Covington,
Okay.
and he returns to his abandoned city.
Abandoned city.
Yeah. And there's this terrifying storm raging.
Okay, getting creepy now.
He gets trapped there with a young woman, and they start experiencing these nightmarish events.
It's like the storm itself is a character, right?
It is. It's this relentless force of nature.
Mhm.
And they're trying to survive, but they also have to uncover this dark secret that's connected to the city.
So it's got that classic Lovecraftian sense of dread.
Oh, yeah.
But with this added element of faith, it makes you think, can faith survive in the face of, unimaginable horror?
Exactly. That's the central question.
Okay, so Weimer's not afraid to explore those darker themes.
He's not.
And speaking of darker themes, let's talk about the Nexus series.
Oh, the Nexus series. This is where he dives into UFOs.
That's the supernatural.
Yeah, it's a wild ride. It starts with Nexus, where we meet Josh Blair, he's a paranormal investigator,
Okay.
and Daniel Summers, a university student.
All right. What are they up to?
Well, they're investigating these mysterious lights.
And unusual deaths.
Yes. And their search leads them to this woman who's had a terrifying encounter.
So it's got those classic X-Files vibes.
Oh, totally. But as the series progresses, it gets even more complex.
How many books are in the series?
5 in total.
Wow. Okay, so what are the other books about?
Well, you've got Nexus, Polarity, which deals with these mysterious visitors arriving during a heat wave, leads to some gruesome deaths and a supernatural battle.
Yikes. That sounds intense.
Then there's Nexus Dimensions. It's an anthology of short stories. Features Josh Blair and his friends battling these dark forces.
Okay.
Then we have Nexus Convergence. In this one, Blair's investigating a plane crash.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's bad news. It turns out there's this ancient artifact involved
Of course there is.
with supernatural origins, naturally.
Of course.
And then finally, Nexus Synergy. That's a trilogy collection. Includes Nexus, Nexus Polarity, and Nexus Convergence.
Okay, so it brings the whole story together.
It does, and it really delves into the biblical roots of this whole supernatural conflict.
Wow, okay, so Weimer's really exploring this cosmic battle between good and evil. It makes you wonder, what if we're not alone in the universe?
Right. What if there's more out there than we can even imagine?
And what if it's not all friendly?
Exactly.
All right, so far we've got ancient mysteries, urban thrillers, supernatural encounters, apocalyptic scenarios. It's amazing how he manages to weave all these different genres and themes together.
It is. He's a true master storyteller, and he has this knack for tapping into our deepest fears and anxieties.
He does. But at the same time, there's this glimmer of hope in his work.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
even in the face of darkness, there's still something worth fighting for.
Right. Okay, we've covered a lot of his novels, but Weimer has also written some really compelling shorter works, like Shadowgate.
Oh, Shadowgate. That one's creepy.
It is.
It's set in this high-tech research facility in Eastern Europe.
Okay.
And this young scientist uncovers these unsettling experiments.
Ooh, unsettling how?
Well, it explores those ethical dilemmas of science,
Oh, like pushing the boundaries too far.
Exactly. Like, what are the consequences of playing God?
Right. It's like sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we create ourselves.
That's it.
So Elliot Foster, the main character, he's forced to confront his own morals.
Yeah, he has to decide what he's willing to stand for.
Okay, now let's lighten things up a bit. We've been talking about some pretty dark stuff.
Okay, good idea.
Weimer also has this short fantasy story called Toys from Yesteryear.
Oh, that's a sweet one. It's very different from his other work.
How so?
Well, it's about this urban explorer who stumbles upon this old toy store,
Okay.
and it just unlocks all these childhood memories.
I love that idea. A toy store that holds, like, the keys to the past.
It's very nostalgic, but there's a twist. The store holds a key to something more.
Something magical.
Something magical.
Oh, I love that. It's like a reminder that even as adults, we still have that that childlike sense of wonder within us.
Exactly.
Okay, and finally, we can't talk about Brian Weimer without mentioning Days Long Gone.
Oh, yes, the zombie story.
The zombie story. So it's inspired by The Walking Dead.
It is. It's set in a small town in Utah, and it follows this lone survivor.
And he's not just battling zombies, he's battling his own inner demons.
Right. It's about survival, both physically and psychologically.
It really makes you think, what would you do to survive a zombie apocalypse? Who would you become?
Those are the tough questions.
They are. So we've covered a lot of ground here today. It's clear that that Brian Weimer is an incredibly versatile author.
He is. He's got something for everyone, whether you're into sci-fi, horror, thrillers, fantasy.
You're bound to find something that resonates with you in his work.
Absolutely.
And his work is so accessible, it's not overly academic or jargon-filled. He's just a great storyteller.
And that's what makes him so captivating.
Right. So before we move on, I want to encourage you all to check out Brian Weimer's website. It's brianweimer.com.
You can find excerpts of his books there, author interviews, even some free samples.
It's a great resource for getting to know his work.
It is.
We've only just scratched the surface of Brian Weimer's world, but hopefully this deep dive has given you a better understanding of his unique style.
And the incredible range of stories he has to offer.
So if you're looking for your next reading obsession, look no further than Brian Weimer. You won't be disappointed.
Trust us, he really does make it accessible, you know. It's not like he's dumbing things down or anything.
No, not at all. But he also doesn't get too bogged down in, like overly academic language.
Right.
He's a storyteller.
He is.
And speaking of stories, we'd love to hear from you. If you've read any of Brian Weimer's books,
Yeah.
which ones have resonated with you?
Yeah, what is it about his writing that really draws you in?
Because, every reader's experience is going to be different, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The same story can evoke so many different emotions.
Right.
So we're always curious to kind of hear those different perspectives. Now, let's take a step back
Okay.
and think about Weimer's work as a whole. What would you say are some of the recurring themes?
Well, one that really stands out to me is the search for truth.
Oh, yeah.
Like whether it's uncovering ancient mysteries, exposing conspiracies, or even, grappling with the unknown.
Right.
His characters are often driven by this desire to understand the world.
To understand the world around them, even if it means confronting some really
Uncomfortable truths.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And he often explores this idea that truth is rarely black and white.
Right. It's not always so simple.
It's more nuanced.
It's more nuanced, yeah.
There are these shades of gray,
Yeah.
moral ambiguities. And his characters, they have complex motivations.
They do.
And I think that makes them feel more human, more relatable.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because in real life, people's motivations are complex, right?
They are. It's not always so clear cut.
Right. And Weimer's not afraid to show that. He's not judging his characters.
No.
He's just trying to understand them.
Right.
And that makes us, as readers, understand them better, too.
Yeah.
Now, another recurring theme that we see in Weimer's work is this exploration of the supernatural.
Oh, yeah. The unexplained.
Right. Whether it's those ancient beings influencing humanity in Advent,
Right.
or the cosmic horror of the Citadel. It seems like he's really fascinated by the idea that there are forces beyond our comprehension at play in the universe.
Yeah, he really is. And it's not always presented as this, straightforward battle between good and evil.
Right.
There's often a sense of ambiguity, like you don't really know who or what to trust.
Yeah. It's like he's saying, hey, maybe there are things out there that we just can't explain.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it's part of the mystery.
It's part of the mystery. And I think that's a big part of what draws people to his work.
Oh, definitely.
That sense of wonder and mystery.
Yeah.
The possibility that, maybe there's more to reality than we can see.
Right. He's inviting us to question what we believe.
Yeah.
To consider different perspectives.
And to embrace the unknown.
To embrace the unknown, yeah.
He does it in such a captivating way, too. His writing is so evocative. You can practically feel the wind whipping through your hair in the Citadel.
Right, or the heat bearing down on you in Nexus, polarity.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. The oppressive heat. Okay, maybe not the decaying flesh of the zombies.
Oh, right. Good point.
I don't need to dwell on that too much.
Well, no.
But yeah, he really brings those sensory details to life.
Yeah.
And it makes the story so much more impactful. And it's not just the physical world that he brings to life.
Yeah.
It's the characters, too. They're so well developed.
They are.
They're flawed. They're complex. They wrestle with their own inner demons.
Right.
And I think that's why they feel so real to us as readers.
Yeah.
Because they're not these perfect heroes
No.
or one-dimensional villains.
Right, right. They're just people trying to make sense of things.
Just like we are.
Yeah.
And they make mistakes. They stumble. They fall.
They do. But they keep getting back up.
They do. And there's this resilience to them that I think is really inspiring.
It is.
Even when they're facing, seemingly insurmountable odds.
Yeah.
And, there's this sense of hope that runs through his work, even in the darkest of stories.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like he's saying, even when things are at their worst.
There's still something worth fighting for.
Yeah. Whether it's our own survival, the truth, or just, the preservation of hope itself.
Right, exactly.
And I think that's something that readers really connect with. In a world that can often feel overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
Uncertain.
Yeah.
Weimer's stories offer a sense of purpose.
A sense of meaning.
Yeah, like we can overcome even the most daunting challenges.
Right.
And it's not about providing easy answers
No.
or sugarcoating reality.
Right.
But it's about acknowledging the darkness.
Yeah.
And still holding on to that little flicker of hope.
Yeah. It's a delicate balance.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a delicate balance. And he does it really well. So you mentioned earlier that Weimer's work is accessible to a wide range of readers. What type of reader do you think would enjoy his books the most?
I think anyone who enjoys a good story,
Yeah.
a well-crafted world,
Yeah.
characters that you can root for.
Yeah.
But I think he particularly appeals to readers who are curious about the world,
Okay.
who like to ask questions,
Yeah.
and who aren't afraid to explore, the darker side of human nature.
The darker corners of
Yeah.
of the human psyche.
Exactly.
People who like a little bit of mystery,
Oh, yeah.
suspense,
Suspense.
even a touch of the supernatural.
Right. He's a master at weaving all those elements together, and he keeps you guessing until the very end.
He does. And he doesn't give you all the answers either.
Oh, no. He leaves you with some questions.
Yeah. Things to think about long after you've finished the book.
Which is the sign of a good writer, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Someone who can spark your imagination, challenge your assumptions,
And leave you wanting more.
and leave you wanting more.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Brian Weimer does so well.
He does. He really does.
He invites us into these worlds that he creates.
Yeah.
He makes us care about his characters. And he leaves us with this sense that there's always more to discover.
Always more.
Both within his stories
Right.
and within ourselves.
Exactly.
So for anyone who's now dying to read some Brian Weimer,
Yeah.
we've got you covered. We'll be sure to include links to his website
Yes.
and his books in the show notes.
You can find him at BrianWeimer.com.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
It is. For, learning more about his work.
Reading excerpts,
Excerpts, yeah.
even downloading free samples.
Yeah, free samples.
So yeah, if you're looking for your next reading obsession, look no further.
Look no further than Brian Weimer.
Brian Weimer. You will not be disappointed.
You will not. He's a writer who will stay with you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Long after you've turned that last page.
Yeah. And his stories, they make you think. They make you feel. And they make you question everything you thought you knew about the world.
And that's what the deep dive is all about, right?
It is.
Exploring new ideas.
Yes.
Challenging our perspectives.
Yeah.
And expanding our understanding of the world around us.
Exactly. So thank you for joining us on this journey into the mind of Brian Weimer.
Yeah, thanks for diving deep with us.
We hope you enjoyed it.
And remember, there's always more to discover. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the things that fascinate you. It's really been amazing,
Okay.
exploring all these different worlds that Brian Weimer creates.
I know. From ancient mysteries.
To those urban thrillers. We even had supernatural encounters.
And apocalyptic scenarios even.
We've seen how he just masterfully blends these genres
He does.
and keeps readers on the edge of their seats.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what I think is really interesting?
What's that?
Throughout all these stories, he never loses sight of the human element.
Right. Right. Even when his characters are facing these extraordinary situations,
Yeah, extraordinary.
they still feel so relatable
They do?
because they're wrestling with those real emotions.
And moral dilemmas. They're not perfect.
No,
They make mistakes.
they stumble, they fall.
But they always keep going.
They do. They get back up. And I think that resilience,
Oh, yeah.
that determination, it's really inspiring. It makes you think,
What? That even in the darkest of times, when all the odds are stacked against you,
It's true.
There's still that spark within us that can push us forward, that can ignite change.
It's powerful.
It is. And speaking of change,
Yeah.
one of the things that I noticed when I was reading Weimer's work
Yeah.
is how he challenges readers to think differently, to question their assumptions about the world.
Oh, absolutely. He throws these like what if scenarios at you.
He does.
And it makes you rethink everything, like history.
Science, even our own place in the universe.
Right. It's like mind-blowing.
It is. It's like you're putting on a new pair of glasses.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing the world for the first time.
A whole new perspective. It can be unsettling.
It can be.
Even a little disturbing sometimes. But it's also liberating, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
It opens up your mind to new possibilities.
Right, exactly. And I think that's what makes Weimer's work so engaging.
I agree.
It's that journey of discovery.
The constant questioning. The seeking.
Yeah.
That's the good stuff.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of BRIAN WEIMER, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay.
If you could step into one of his stories, just imagine,
Ooh.
which world would you choose?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Would it be like the ancient world of Advent?
Right, with those hidden societies, the powerful artifacts.
Ooh. Or maybe, those gritty streets of New Phoenix?
From Watchers, yeah. Where justice is a constant battle.
It is. Or maybe you'd be drawn to the,
To the mind-bending conspiracy.
oh, yeah, of the Verticon file.
Right. Or maybe you prefer the chilling encounters
Ooh, the chilling encounters.
from the Citadel.
Ooh, good one. Or even,
The cosmic battles between good and evil in the Nexus series.
so many good choices.
Right. Each of these stories, they offer a different lens through which to view the world.
It's true. Different challenges.
Different triumphs.
Whole different flavor of suspense and intrigue. So which world calls to you? Which story, resonates with your own fears?
Or aspirations.
Yeah, we encourage you to,
To delve into BRIAN WEIMER's work.
yeah.
And find out.
And don't forget to visit his website.
Yes, BRIANWEIMER.com.
You can find more information about his books there,
Excerpts.
author interviews.
Even free samples.
So thank you for joining us on this literary adventure.
It's been fun.
We hope you've enjoyed exploring the captivating work of BRIAN WEIMER.
He's a great writer.
He is. He really makes you think
And feel.
and question everything you thought you knew about the world.
Happy reading, everyone.